Once upon a time, in a village situated in the African savannah, there lived a rainmaker named Okot. Now, Okot wasn't your ordinary rainmaker. He was as crooked as a twisted baobab tree and had a rather peculiar demand for his services. Okot had convinced himself that the only way to bring forth rain was to first satisfy his own desires. So, he declared to the villagers, "If you want rain to nourish your crops and quench your parched earth, then you must offer up your virgins to me. I must sleep with every virgin in this village before I can bring rain." As ludicrous as it may sound, the villagers found themselves at the mercy of Okot's whims. They had tried reasoning with him, pleading with him, even attempting to bribe him with the juiciest mangoes and the finest yams from their harvest. But Okot was adamant. No virgins, no rain. The villagers trembled with dread, for they knew the purity of their daughters was in grave danger. But Okot had no mercy. But here's the thing, Okot wasn't always this way. Long ago, Okot had been a respected member of the village, revered for his mastery of the elements and his ability to bring rain to the parched earth. He had inherited these powers from his father. The powers were in the bloodline. Okot had wielded his powers with humility and grace, using them to nourish the land and sustain his people through times of hardship. But as Okot's powers grew, so too did his ambition and desire for control. He became intoxicated by the allure of his own abilities, craving adulation and worship from those around him. Okot would walk through the village square like a peacock. He would demand attention, stating, "Behold, all you villagers, I am Okot, master of the skies and ruler of the rain." If anyone tried to question his authority or suggest that maybe Okot was becoming too proud, he would thunder, "How dare you? I am the chosen one, the bringer of rain, the chosen one by the gods." Okot demanded attention, and most importantly, he demanded virgins be brought to his hut. As the days stretched on and the parched earth cried out for moisture, the villagers grew desperate. Their crops withered in the scorching sun, and whispers of discontent filled the air. In their desperation, they turned to Okot. With a heavy heart and a reluctant sigh, Okot agreed to help, but at a steep cost. "Bring me a virgin," he demanded, his voice dripping with malice, "and I will summon the rain you seek." Reluctantly, the villagers complied, offering up Layla, a gentle maiden known for her kindness and innocence. But as Layla entered Okot's hut, a shiver ran down her spine, and a sense of dread filled her heart. What transpired within those walls was nothing short of a nightmare. Okot, fueled by his own twisted desires and unchecked power, treated Layla with a cruelty that left her bruised and broken. And as she emerged from the hut, tears streaming down her cheeks, the villagers recoiled in horror at the sight of their beloved maiden, her spirit shattered by the cruelty of the Rainmaker. As Layla stood amidst the ruins of her shattered innocence, her heart heavy with sorrow and despair, she couldn't help but wonder what the future held for her. The pain of betrayal burned deep within her, leaving scars that no amount of time could ever hope to heal. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Layla gazed out across the village, her thoughts swirling like the dust kicked up by a passing storm. "Who will marry me now?" she whispered, her voice barely more than a faint breeze in the stillness of the night. For in a society where a woman's worth was often measured by her purity and innocence, Layla feared that she had become damaged goods, tainted by the cruel actions of a man who had treated her with contempt and disregard. The villagers rallied around her, offering words of comfort and support. And sure enough, it began to rain. Another season arrived, and sure enough, the villagers anxiously awaited the life-giving rains, which failed to fall. Once again, they turned to the evil Rainmaker, hoping against hope that he would bring relief from the relentless drought and not ask for anything dreadful in return. But alas, it was not to be. This time, Okot wanted Abina, a pretty 20-year-old virgin. Summoned to his hut like a lamb to the slaughter, Abina hesitated at the threshold, her heart pounding in her chest like the drums of war. She knew all too well the fate that awaited her behind those walls, the same fate that had befallen Layla before her. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, Abina stepped into the darkness, her footsteps echoing like a death knell in the silence of the night. And as the door closed behind her, She braced herself. Inside the hut, the evil Rainmaker leered at her with eyes as cold as the winter winds, his laughter echoing like the mocking call of a hyena in the distance. With a cruel laugh, he dragged her closer, his touch like fire against her skin, his words like daggers in her heart. And as the night wore on, Abina endured his brutality with a courage born of desperation, her tears a silent testament to the injustice of her fate. Okot's mother, affectionately known as Mama Okot, may have been nearing her 100th birthday, but she was as clever and as sharp as a machete and her tongue as fiery as a chili pepper. She had seen it all, droughts, floods, and more than her fair share of village drama, but nothing could have prepared her for her son's cruelty. She had heard enough from the villagers, and she wasn't going to take any more. One sunny afternoon, with the heat bearing down like an angry hippo, and armed with her walking stick, she hobbled over to Okot's hut, determined to set him straight once and for all. "Okot, my son," she began, her voice carrying the weight of a lifetime of wisdom. "What in the name of the ancestors do you think you're doing, asking for virgins like they're ripe mangoes at the market?" But Okot, ever the stubborn mule, simply shrugged off her concerns with a dismissive wave of his hand. "Mama, you just don't understand," he insisted, with a defiant tone. "I'm the Rainmaker, remember? I need my sacrifices to keep the rain flowing." Mama Okot rolled her eyes so hard. It's a wonder they didn't get stuck in the back of her head. "Rainmaker, my foot," she scoffed. "You're simply bringing shame to our family name and more so, to your father with this bad behavior. You must stop at once." But Okot remained unmoved, his ego as inflated as a hot air balloon. Mama Okot sighed, shaking her head in exasperation because try as she might, she could not convince Okot to stop his evil behavior. Okot thought himself too powerful to be stopped by anybody, and so, with a resigned shake of her head and a muttered prayer to the ancestors for patience, Mama Okot trudged back to her own hut, leaving her stubborn son to his foolishness. For as they say, you can lead a rainmaker to water, but you can't make him think. The village elders, a group of wise old souls with more years under their belts than wrinkles on a tortoise, also tried to speak sense to Okot. The elders had seen their fair share of troublemakers over the years. But Okot? He was in a league of his own. With furrowed brows and deep sighs, the elders gathered to discuss the matter, their voices hushed like the rustle of leaves in the wind. They knew that confronting Okot was like playing with the testicles of a sleeping lion, a surefire way to invite trouble. But trouble had a way of finding them anyway, like a persistent mosquito buzzing in their ears. And so, with a collective gulp and more than a few muttered prayers, they approached Okot's hut, their resolve as shaky as a toddler learning to walk. "Okot, my son," began Elder Juma, his voice trembling like a leaf in a storm, "we need to talk." But before he could utter another word, Okot's response was swift and brutal. With a snarl of contempt, he spat at Elder Juma's face, his defiance like a slap in the face to the authority of the village elders. The other elders recoiled in horror, their shock palpable in the air like the stench of a rotting carcass. They knew then that they were dealing with a force of nature more volatile than a volcano on the verge of eruption, a force that would not be tamed by mere words or pleas for reason. And so, with heavy hearts and a sense of defeat weighing heavily upon them, the elders retreated, their heads hung low in shame and frustration. For in the face of Okot's arrogance and aggression, they were powerless to intervene, their authority undermined by a rainmaker with little brain power. But deep down, beneath the fear and uncertainty, a flicker of hope remained. The villagers had no idea that the winds of change were about to blow through their village and bring about righteous change. Meanwhile, another young lady, Kanini, had traveled from the village to visit her aunt in another village. Kanini was seeking refuge from the chaos and uncertainty that had gripped her village. As Kanini settled into her aunt's humble abode, she couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over her, a tranquility that had eluded her for far too long. And as she explored the village, soaking in the sights and sounds of this unfamiliar place, she stumbled upon a chance encounter that would change her life forever. It was there, beneath the shade of a towering baobab tree, that Kanini met Nala, a lively young woman with a smile as bright as the African sun. They struck up a conversation, their laughter mingling with the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. As they chatted, Nala regaled Kanini with tales of their village's Rainmaker, a humble and kind-hearted soul who possessed the rare gift of bringing rain to the parched earth. Our Rainmaker may not be as flashy as yours, Nala explained, but he's the real deal, a true servant of the land and its people. Intrigued by Nala's words, Kini listened intently as her new friend painted a picture of a village blessed by the presence of a Rainmaker who used his powers for the greater good, rather than personal gain. He doesn't demand sacrifices or make outrageous demands, Nala continued, her eyes sparkling with admiration. He simply listens to the whispers of the wind and the murmurs of the clouds, and in return, he brings us the gift of rain when we need it most. Kanini decided to confide in her friend Nala about her fears of becoming the next target of their evil Rainmaker. Her voice trembled with anxiety. "I am afraid," she admitted, her eyes darting nervously towards the horizon as if expecting Okot's ominous silhouette to appear at any moment. Nala reached out and clasped Kanini's hand in hers, her touch a reassuring anchor in the storm of uncertainty. "You are stronger than you know, Kanini," she said, her voice steady and unwavering. "Remember what our ancestors used to say." With Nala's encouragement echoing in her ears like a mantra, Kanini felt a spark of courage ignite within her, a flame of determination that burned brighter with each passing moment. "You're right," she said, her voice filled with newfound resolve. "I won't let fear dictate my actions. I will stand tall and face whatever comes my way with bravery and grace." As they watched the sun dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow upon the village, Kanini felt a sense of peace wash over her, a quiet assurance that no matter what trials lay ahead, she would face them with courage, dignity, and the unwavering support of her friends by her side. And as the stars twinkled overhead, illuminating the path forward with their gentle light, Kanini knew that no darkness could ever extinguish the flame of courage that burned within her heart. Gathered beneath the ancient baobab tree, the village elders exchanged worried glances as they discussed the looming threat of Okot and his insatiable demands. Another planting season was upon them, and they knew that if it did not rain, Okot would make his wicked demands. Elder Juma, his brow furrowed with concern, cleared his throat to address the group. "Elders, my esteemed colleagues," he began, his voice as steady as yesterday's cassava, "we find ourselves facing a dilemma of grave proportions. If the rains fail to come, we know all too well that Okot will not hesitate to demand yet another virgin sacrifice." Elder Mwamba, known for his quick wit and sharp tongue, scoffed in disbelief. "Oh, that is for sure. And you remember what happened the last time we went to see him? He spat on your face, that devil." The other elders laughed nervously, the tension in the air dissipating like morning mist in the sun. But Elder Juma's expression remained grave as he continued. "We cannot allow Okot to continue his reign of terror unchecked," he declared, his voice rising with conviction. "We must find a way to stop him before he inflicts more harm upon our village." Elder Adash, the village's resident voice of reason, nodded in agreement. "I suggest we approach Okot with a united front," she proposed, her words carrying the weight of authority. "We must show him that his actions have consequences and that we will not tolerate his abuse of power any longer." And so, with a plan in place and determination in their hearts, the elders resolved to confront Okot and put an end to his tyranny once and for all. As the elders pondered their next steps in thwarting Okot's tyranny, Elder Juma cleared his throat, his gaze fixed on the horizon where the sun dipped low like a golden coin descending into the earth's pocket. "But there's one more thing," he said, his voice carrying the weight of wisdom accumulated over decades of village life. "We need the blessing of Mama Okot." The other elders exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of how the blessing of Okot's mother could aid their cause. Elder Adashi raised an eyebrow in skepticism. "What good will Mama Okot's blessing do us?" she questioned, her tone tinged with doubt. Elder Juma smiled knowingly. "Mama Okot may be old, but she possesses a wisdom that surpasses her years," he explained. "Her blessing carries weight in this village, and we need all the allies we can muster if we are to stand against Okot's tyranny." Elder Mwamba laughed and said, "If Mama Okote can't talk some sense into her son, then I don't know who can." And so, with their plan in place and the blessing of Mama Okote as their final piece of the puzzle, the elders set out to seek the old woman's wisdom and guidance. As the skies remained stubbornly clear, refusing to yield even a single drop of rain, the villagers' fears intensified, like storm clouds gathering on the horizon. And true to Elder Juma's prediction, Okote wasted no time in making his demands known once again. But this time, his target was none other than Kanini, the same Kini who had sought refuge in her aunt's village, hoping to escape the clutches of the evil Rainmaker. As the news spread like wildfire through the village, Kanini's heart pounded with fear, but beneath the surface, a steely resolve began to take shape. Determined to outwit Okote and put an end to his reign of terror once and for all, Kanini got ready for the night. Freedom, indeed, was coming. With meticulous care, Kanini prepared herself, adorning her hair with wildflowers and donning her finest attire. She knew that to succeed, she must lure Okote into a false sense of security, playing the role of the innocent maiden with practiced ease. But hidden within the folds of her clothing, nestled against her skin like a secret weapon, lay a vial of potion, a powerful concoction that would render even the strongest man unconscious with a single drop. As Kanini approached Okote's hut, her heart raced with anticipation, her palms slick with sweat. But she refused to let fear paralyze her, drawing strength from the knowledge that she was fighting not only for herself but for the entire village. With a coy smile and a flutter of her eyelashes, Kanini entered Okote's hut, her senses sharp and her nerves taut as buffalo skin. And as Okote leered at her with hungry eyes, she feigned innocence, playing her part to perfection. But when the moment was right, when Okote's guard was down and his defenses weakened by desire, Kanini seized her opportunity, slipping the potion into his drink with a quick and practiced hand. And as Okote took a sip, his eyes widened in surprise before fluttering closed, his body slumping against the ground like a sack of potatoes. With a triumphant grin, Kanini watched as he fell into a deep and dreamless sleep, his snores echoing through the hut like the rumble of distant thunder. As Okote slumbered, unaware of the brewing storm outside, Kanini called the elders, as well as Mama Okote and a couple of young men to come and glance at the evil Rainmaker. The young men carried Okote outside of the hut and locked him up in a secure location in the village. Kanini then thanked Mama Okote, for she had come up with the sleeping potion idea. The following day, the entire village met under the baobab tree. The villagers offered Okote a chance at redemption, allowing him to leave the village and seek penance for his sins. And though his journey would be long and arduous, Okote vowed to make amends for the darkness he had unleashed upon the village. The following day, as the rain poured down upon the village, washing away the dust of drought and despair, a female elder approached Kanini with a gentle smile. "My dear Kanini," she said, her voice warm and inviting, "have you always loved playing in the rain?" Kanini nodded, a sense of wonder and awe filling her heart as she watched the droplets dance upon the earth like tiny jewels. "Yes," she replied, her voice filled with wonder. "There's something magical about the rain. It makes everything feel fresh and alive." The elder's eyes twinkled with knowing as she took Kanini's hand in hers, leading her to the hut of the village diviner, a wise old woman known for her ability to see beyond the veil of the ordinary and into the realms of the extraordinary. As they entered the dimly lit hut, the diviner greeted them with a knowing smile, her eyes sparkling with ancient wisdom. "Ah, Kanini," she said, "I've been expecting you." Kanini's heart skipped a beat, her pulse quickening with anticipation. "Expecting me?" she echoed, her voice tinged with curiosity. The diviner nodded, her gaze fixed upon Kanini with a mixture of reverence and awe. "You possess a gift, my dear, a gift that has been passed down through generations," she explained, her words hanging in the air like a delicate mist. "You have the power to call forth the rain, to bring life to the earth and nourishment to the crops." Kanini's eyes widened in astonishment, her mind reeling with the magnitude of the diviner's words. But how?" she stammered, her voice barely more than a whisper. The diviner smiled knowingly, her voice soft and reassuring.
is a gift given to those with pure hearts and noble intentions. Embrace it. Do not be afraid of this gift that has come from up above. Let the rain be your friend. And remember, my child, use this gift wisely. Use it to bless your people, and you will be blessed as well.
And as the village embraced a future filled with hope and promise, dancing in the rain, they looked to Kanini as their guiding star, a beacon of courage, compassion, and unwavering resolve in the face of adversity. And together, they forged a new legacy, one built not on fear and oppression, but on love, unity, and the enduring power of the human spirit.